We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Are you questioning who you are? Well, Google it and you might find out.
Also, a South Florida high school knows how to stand by the young trans students and protect their rights, even if it means standing up to the governor of Florida.
On the backdrop of current social and legal environment in the country, it is inspiring to know there are countries in the world where marriage equality is accepted by the majority of the citizens.
Good news for the UK queer community, as sports fans in the United Kingdom are becoming more inclusive of LGBTQ+ players and do not mind standing by the community.
And the holiday season is here, and the Wilton Manors community is all set to celebrate it with Prideskate on December 7th with friends, family, and children.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television. News broadcasting live and available on demand. Available on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It's Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Fay What? And this evening we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same models of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission? Supporting the 10 pillars of the LGBTQ+ community, which means informing and educating on the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbian and queer women, trans, student youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 39 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
That's right, sister, and let's begin by welcoming TriniDaddy. He's currently a violinist and pianist with the Miami City Ballet and is the program director for the Seminole Theater Players in Homestead, Florida. He's also part of the permanent cast on It's Happening Out with me every week. Yes. Welcome, TriniDaddy. How are you, sweetheart?
I am doing wonderfully. I'm so glad you put me next to FayWhat. I love that every time. It is the Christmas season, and if you want to go out to have a great date night, the Miami City Ballet's performances of the Nutcracker at the Arts Center in Miami, Broward Center for the Performing Arts, and the Kravis Center in West Palm Beach would be a great choice. So enjoy Christmas and come out and see us.
For sure.
Also, if you want a great date night, hit me up on Grindr.
Oh.
There's that.
Way to
All
run
right.
that.
Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to skip over your intro just because of that. Next up, let's welcome John Hayden. He's a journalist for 28 years. He's also looking for a boyfriend, as you heard. He is now senior reporter for Out South Florida, and you can also follow him on Instagram at John Hayden, journalist for breaking news and live reports from community events. Welcome back, my brother.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this weekend. I'm going to be erecting a Christmas tree in West Michigan with my mom, brother, stepdad, the pups,
cold,
Angus,
puppy.
and it's going to be very cold. Steve, get a jacket for me.
Next up, let's welcome anchor Dr. Tai Houser. Look how cute he is. He's a professor of English and Humanities at Broward College and teaches in the College of Business at Florida Atlantic University. He has served as visiting professor at colleges in Bolivia, Brazil, China, India, and Spain. Tai owns Linden Bridge LLC, an educational experience company as well. Welcome back, Tai. Good evening.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. Faye, this is the first I've seen you since you're back from your cruise. You look all refreshed and happy and lovely.
I do, because I don't feel all refreshed, happy, and lovely. A lot has happened. All that vacation, like beautiful hue, is gone. The holidays are here, Tai,
It's the lighting, then. It's the lighting.
No, it's all the lighting. We say thank you to production for that. And finally, but not least at all, my sister, the anchor, Cindy Brown. Cindy was an early organizer of the Miami AIDS Walk and the White Party for Care resource. She's a programs director for the Lambda Living program at Jewish Community Services, and she also served as the ED of the MDGLCC Foundation. Welcome back, Miss Cindy.
I'm so happy to be here. And, you know, the holidays are upon us and so much eating. And I think I'm still full from Thanksgiving. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to the holidays in December and then on to the new year.
Yes,
and new year, new everything.
Cindy weighs like 40 pounds with a brick in her pocket. She's talking about eating too much. Do you see how big her jacket is, right? All right. Well, the LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America, we're diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, November 29th.
Let's start with queering up technology. Google report searches for "Am I gay, lesbian?" have increased 1,300% in the last 20 years. According to new research from the Cultural Currents Institute, Google searches related to personal sexual orientation and gender identity have skyrocketed since 2004. Questions like, "Am I gay?" or "Am I lesbian?" have increased by 1,300% over the last 2 decades. Other phrases such as, "Am I trans?" and "How to come out?" as well as searches for terms like non-binary, also follow an upward trend in the same time frame. The state of Utah leads with more Googling "Am I gay?" "Am I lesbian?" "Am I trans?" than any other state. Iowa, Indiana, West Virginia, and New Hampshire followed Utah in searches for "Am I gay?", while Connecticut, Kentucky, Washington, and Colorado followed for searches for "Am I lesbian?". The Cultural Currents Institute also pointed out a poignant search term with "How to come out" being Googled by most in traditionally conservative states, including Mississippi and Kentucky, which it noted could indicate a more challenging environment for self-disclosure of identity. The Google study follows several other reports and studies that have been released in the last few years, which have all found that younger generations are far more likely to come out as LGBTQ+ than ever before. And I think it's great that the younger people are more confident in coming out. I remember how crazy it was when I came out in the 80s, but I think that having Google available for these searches is amazing. And, having people who live in these very conservative environments and towns, they can ask questions without outing themselves with Google.
True. So true. And what I got from your story today, Miss Cindy, is that all the lesbians are in Utah.
Well, I got they're in Colorado.
Okay, in Utah and Colorado is where it's at for the lesbians, I think. But piggybacking on what you're saying, I wish you had Google back in the 80s.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because think about it, Cindy, this might be the safest way for someone to explore what they're thinking, what they're feeling. If they're not in a supportive family like I wasn't, I didn't have anybody to ask.
Me either.
Right?
I kind of have bifurcated opinions on this because while I agree it's great that you can do Google and
there's a lot
explore
of bad
that
info out there.
There's a lot of bad info out there, and it also proves that we have a lot of work yet to do as a community to make those resources available to people who may not feel comfortable asking questions.
Yeah, very true, because you should look it up, but you should know the resources where you're going. You're going to go to a SunServe, right, to find out about stuff. You're not going to go to Mr. Joe Schmo on OnlyFans to find out if you're gay.
Mr. Joe Schmo told me that I was on OnlyFans, and I feel good about it. No, what I'm really surprised about the top line number on this is that it's only increased 1,300% over the last 20 years. Because think about it, 2004, home internet was becoming a thing, but it wasn't a thing, especially for younger people that basically they probably weren't able to monitor these back in 2004, these checks at schools. But a lot of kids back in the early 2000s, their only internet was at school. So I'm sort of surprised it hasn't really more because this is something that obviously kids aren't getting in, what is it, 19 states now that have passed some version of Don't Say Gay.
Right.
They're just going to ask Jeeves.
Oh, wow.
That still exists?
What is it?
It was before Google, the first search engine.
Oh.
It was Ask Jeeves.
It's a fabulous 2004 reference.
Okay.
Trust me.
And the fact that we all got it means that we're all old.
Yeah.
Except for me. I didn't get it.
Well, you stole everything that I was about to say, because I remember not having internet either, and like kind of going through that whole transition and not having anybody in my community that I could ask about it, and being on the I think it was the Richter Library at the University of Miami. Like I made sure to go at like 11 p.m. on the 7th floor in that one computer in the corner, because where it was in the dorm, there were other people that could see your screen when they would walk by, so you didn't even want to type it when you were in any kind of public situation. So I had to find time like late at night to go into the stacks to like ask these questions. And
What did you ask? Are you gay?
Well, I mean, I also looked up a few other things that I probably shouldn't admit to on here. But like, just understanding.
Who is Sean Cody?
Why do I feel this way? You know? So yeah. It's I feel like that is a pretty good 1,300% is, or 1,300 times over is a lot.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with John that I don't think it was. I think it should have been more. I think more has been searched. I don't know about this.
Maybe they're
now
using
that I'm
Bing.
thinking about it.
Right.
Maybe they're using Bing.
That was another thing, is my search engine, as much as I tell it to use Google, it always goes to Bing.
Wow. John, what's next, my
Alta
friend?
Vista. Okay, up next, let's queer up out South Florida. A trans student and her allies are under investigation and under attack. The purity test is underway. Broward County educators are being investigated for not being as rabidly anti-trans as Florida's right-wing Republican fascists require. Coconut Creek's Monarch High School is in turmoil after Principal James Cecil, Assistant Principal Kenneth May, Athletic Director Dion Hester, and Information Management Technician Jessica Norton were reassigned while they are investigated for allowing a girl to play on the girls' volleyball team. Coach Alex Burgess is also not with the team at the moment. The player involved is a trans girl, and allowing her to participate as her true, authentic self is anathema to bigoted parents and politicians. The Republican-controlled legislature did Governor Ron DeSantis' bidding and passed the misleadingly named Fairness in Women's Sports Act, which bars trans girls from playing sports. That is anything but fair. While the district is trying to get away with taking a measured approach, Florida's Department of Education is much more rabid in its response and in its call for a pound of flesh, saying, quote, "As soon as the department was notified that a biological male was playing on a girls' team in Broward County, we instructed the district to take immediate action since this is a direct violation of Florida law. We expect there will be serious consequences for those responsible." End quote. As for the student body, they showed up and walked out to support their classmate, shouting, "Let her play." This is the moment. It fits DeSantis' fascist strongman MO, go to a blue part of the state and attack open-minded fair schools. They attacked a school for a field trip to Rosie's. They come after books, they come after teachers. This is a dark moment, and there is no sign of light. But in this darkness, we must shout and be heard. When we do emerge into the light, we must demand to be seen. Our enemies know we are not going away, and neither are the students they oppress for pure political points.
I can't speak much to the investigation. I do want to make sure that you understand that it'll be a fair investigation. The state has been informed, but we also have to understand that social media is not the court, it's not the jury. The individuals from several different bargaining groups were removed from school and they're at a different location and they're working. That's not an indication of discipline. It's an indication that we want to make sure that when we investigate it, it's done properly and appropriately. Again, we want to make sure we do this right. Nobody is guilty of anything at this point. That's what an investigation is for.
And we want to say on these live pictures out of Monarch High School in Coconut Creek, where again you can see students here outside of the school. They have left their classroom in protest of what's happening at the school. Remember, this was just announced yesterday, so we're starting to see reaction. We have seen parents react. We have seen students. Now you're seeing it for yourself, these live pictures from Monarch High School. We asked the superintendent, by the way, if the students will be able to play volleyball next year. He didn't really have an answer. Tells us they're likely going to have to look at their procedures and probably make some changes.
You know, interesting point about that last video clip that we saw, the chopper shots from the parking lot. The school was okay with the protest, but they shifted them. They shifted them from going out to the front lawn and made them go out into the back fenced-in parking lot, so the media couldn't get to them, so the media couldn't talk. That's why that's why we're not seeing any interviews with the students who came out to support their fellow classmate.
Okay, but I saw some interviews yesterday. I saw some interviews from kids, and most of them were talking about the fact that they were upset that the principal had been reassigned. They weren't talking about the trans student. Now, and the trans student is the one that is who I'm worried about, okay?
Right.
You just outed this girl to a whole school. As an ex-bully, you just put a freaking, like, you know, help me out here, a target on her back.
And
Trini, you know?
And I heard that most of the people at the school had no idea.
Didn't know, Cindy. She wasn't out to them.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just horrible that this girl's life is going to be so disrupted.
Yeah.
She's going to have to transfer schools.
Well, she's presently still there. That was the last thing that I had seen.
She has
a lot of support at the school.
She has a lot of support.
And she's got support of her parents.
Which is
this was not a revelation to her parents that she was going to be on there.
No.
She's got support.
Of course. But that's still not the right thing to out her to all these schools.
Absolutely
That's great.
not.
Yes. You know, kids that age are more fluid, right? They do understand more about, you know, LGBTQ plus things, right? They understand more than you think they do, teachers out there. Just so you know, okay? Yeah. But that being said, you know, I saw some of the interviews, and some of the boys were like, well, if she was a boy, then she shouldn't be playing. These are some of the interviews that I saw. Now, I'm really, really interested in what Tai has to say as an educator. You know, what do you think about all this? When you saw this on the news, were you taken aback?
Well, I think it's dangerous, of course. This law in general is dangerous.
Of course.
But I think if there's anything that's good that's going to come out of this, it might just throw the law into the court system, which is where we need to start to win these battles. And I think that we really can overturn some of these laws. I mean, we've done it with the drag queen law.
With the ban. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So, you know.
Okay, but it's still a law, and it's still a law that the school is breaking. So with that, I'm going to ask Trini what he thinks about that.
This is always such a complicated, nuanced discussion for me. I agree with you that the DeSantis administration is trying to enforce draconian measures to punish the LGBT community. Yeah. And it's awful. These people should not be losing their job, and they should, you know, this should be dealt with by whatever sports committee is they're dealing with. I don't remember what the sport is.
Volleyball.
Yeah. So I am, you know, where a lot of America is, which is asking the question, are there inherent advantages in a post-pubescent body? Mm-hmm. And, you know, the science does show that there are advantages.
They're in high school.
I understand. And getting to that point, you know, I don't care about sports. That's just not my bag. And so I would love...
Great. Continue with the story.
I would love for any student to be able to play in whatever gender it feels comfortable to them for fun, you know, but unfortunately it has become this billions of dollar industry that has now bled into college scholarships and Title IX and all these other areas where now we have to actually enforce certain things, and we do have to have some kind of rule, and there does have to be some kind of consequence. I don't think this is the right way to handle it. But when it comes to the biology and is there an advantage or not, the science is still not on the side of trans people right now when it comes to that. And there was a great roundtable discussion with trans advocates and trans people in sports on, I think it was MSNBC, and they were talking about it, and none of them really have given the science to show that they all admit
they don't have the facts.
Yeah, they all
science.
Admit that there is an advantage to it, and there's a reason why we created women's sports to begin with. And putting this in a context where you're already saying that we're discriminating against in between the sexes, because can a woman or a girl in high school, can she try out for the football team?
Yes,
Of course she can.
You know,
Yes,
of course
she
she can.
Can she try out for the college sports?
All right,
Yes,
we're not going to have this whole
Okay.
altercation here
Right.
on Queer News Tonight. So please finish your thoughts.
Well,
and
that's
let's move
pretty
on.
much. I just don't think that it is, to use the term, you know, they're rabid or people who are very much anti-trans, because this subject is complicated. So,
but the law, as unjust
law
as
is
it
the
is,
law.
says trans girls can't play. And I know you hate this, because I've said this on biological. But I've said this on the show, and I know you hate it, and I think I'm not sure other people have hated when I say it. But if it comes down to the question, are trans boys, are trans men, are trans girls, girls?
Yes.
And if the answer is yes, then everything else must fall into place. That is
For you.
the science.
Okay, I got
I
it.
don't necessarily
All right,
agree.
let's move on. Trini? Let's talk about civil rights.
Let's queer up civil rights. Guess which country supports marriage equality the most? New Pew Research Center analysis shows that Western European countries are most heavily in favor of marriage equality. Pew has conducted surveys in 32 countries in the past 2 years. Support was highest in Sweden, where 92% of respondents favored equal marriage rights for same-sex couples. Other countries in Western Europe were not far behind, with 89% support in the Netherlands, 87% in Spain, 82% in France, and 80% in Germany. Each of those countries has legalized same-sex marriage. In Italy, where legalization is being debated but hasn't yet happened, 73% of respondents endorsed marriage equality. In the United Kingdom, support stood at 74%, and all parts of the UK have enacted marriage equality. The situation was much different in the Eastern European countries. Pew has surveyed with just 41% support in Poland and 31% in Hungary. In North America, 79% of Canadians and 63% of both U.S. residents and Mexicans backed marriage equality. In the U.S., there were stark differences along party lines. 82% of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents were supportive, compared to 44% of Republicans and Republican leaners. So,
That's a lot.
surprise, surprise, I always blame this on the Pilgrims. We just had Thanksgiving. If those damn Puritans and separatists didn't make their way over here and started our country about 20 years behind England, we would be caught up. And it's no surprise that wherever Western Europe is heading, that's where we will be in about 20 years.
You know what sort of scares me about that statement, though, is that, and I know you meant it well, but the rightward shift is happening now in Western Europe. The Netherlands just last weekend voted in a very right-wing, anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim government, essentially their prime minister and his governing majority. So I'm afraid that when you say what's happening in Western Europe will be us in 20 years, I'm afraid that will be true, but for the wrong reason.
We had that a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's where we were.
It goes in those shifts. You know, Argentina just had, elected their right-wing crazy, but Brazil just voted theirs
The guy
out.
who talks to his dead dog, right?
Yeah. So we're going through this kind of weird cyclical thing with conservative and.
Well, they say, the arc of justice bends in the right direction. So it varies, but it always bends in the right direction. So let's just hope that, we'll, like the markets, it'll
bounce back. It'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Tai, you're as queer as they come, and you've got to teach. You've had to teach at some of these, in some of these places. How does this wash over you?
So I don't know, how does it wash over me? It just, all over the place, yeah. So I think that, it's kind of to Cindy's point, the pendulum swings. Mm-hmm. And, it's interesting to see how far we're going to go in one direction before we go in the other. I'm surprised at the 44% of conservatives. I thought that number was big.
Mm-hmm. I actually was surprised it wasn't bigger because there are a lot of Republicans, and I thought it was more than 44%, that support LGBT rights. And it's just sad to think that 56% of Republicans I mean, the majority of Republicans don't.
Well, a
they
couple
may
of years ago, it was over 50% for Republicans. As Republicans have made it their platform to voraciously go after trans rights, LGBTQ rights, marriage equality, it's eroded on that side. But you're right, it was a bigger number as recently as like 2019.
And that also could be a result of people leaving the party.
Yeah. Or leaving the country.
Or the way that the question was asked, because a lot of times they frame it differently.
Yeah.
Right.
Before, if they were saying, do you believe in marriage equality, versus like the way they may have framed the question this time about with all
are you, if you want to marry your dog, is it okay?
Like,
But I imagine they asked the same question to the Democrats as they asked to the Republicans the same way.
But different
again,
surveys, though. Survey to survey, it needs continuity.
Exactly.
But yes, you're absolutely right.
Because conservatives have been voting largely against the anti-abortion and gay marriage. What's it they're saying in the polls is different than what's going on in the survey poll. So,
but more to your point, Fay, because you just got back from a trip and you were in England. When I'm in Western Europe, I feel far more welcomed.
Yeah.
As a
well, and it's interesting because most of our tour guides were LGBTQ, right? And that's how they wanted it, right? And every time I had a chance to be able to sit with an LGBTQ plus local, I asked them, how is it to be queer here? And it's like, we don't fight for our rights, we just are. They kind of just stay under the radar, like it's like, we're fine how we are, and they don't want to, because they have bigger fish to fry in their minds.
Right.
So maybe that also leads to why the percentages are how they are. Mr. Tai, what's our next story, my friend?
This is great. We're going to queer up sports ball. New study finds sports fans have become much more welcoming to LGBTQ plus people. New research by Stonewall shows that attitudes of sports fans towards the LGBTQ plus community have changed dramatically. The research marks 10 years of its Rainbow Laces campaign. To celebrate this campaign, Stonewall has released a special glitter edition of its iconic Rainbow Laces, alongside 3 new identity-specific versions. They have Men Loving Men laces, gender fluid laces, and arrow laces. The research commissioned by the LGBTQ plus charity, carried out by Walnut ICM, found Britons are increasingly embracing LGBTQ plus people in their sports. Almost got that wrong. The data shows that 74% of the 12 million sports fans who saw the Rainbow Laces campaign in 2022 considered LGBTQ plus people as part of the sports community, an increase from 68% the previous year. This was also compared to 58% of sports fans who did not see the campaign. Alongside this, more than 3/4 of respondents said that they would not be embarrassed if their favorite player came out as gay, and 60% would be happy to play alongside a trans teammate. However, in terms of how welcoming sports is to LGBTQ plus athletes, 36% of those surveyed said it is welcoming to lesbian and bisexual women, 33% said it is welcoming to gay and bisexual men, and just 23% felt trans athletes are welcoming. There's a lot of numbers to digest in there, but I think what it points out is a lot of what we've been talking about, which is there seems to be a lot of and growing support for gay men and lesbians, but the support for the trans community is struggling to find its footing.
Still lacking, right? When I heard your story and I think sports ball, the first thing I think of is a locker room, right? And there's nothing more, more full of toxic. Well, okay, I'm not thinking about your Pornhub stuff, okay? I'm talking about toxic masculinity. That's what you think of when you think of a locker room, right? And that's why most LGBTQ plus athletes stay in the closet until after they retire, because they don't want to go through that crap and that struggle, If straight men were to just put their BS aside, right, things would be a little bit, things would be easier, because again, just like the story stated, when it comes to women and bisexual women, yeah, no problem, you can play, we're okay with that. But when it comes to men and trans, then there's more of a problem,
I think that as society ages, the people that are playing in sports now, are younger than us, and they grew up in a different time. And, people under 30 are way more accepting of LGBT folks, maybe even under 40. And I think that's who these players are now. And more people are coming out. I think that it's extremely difficult to find someone who doesn't know one single LGBT person.
Sure.
I mean, there are people like that. And, so I do think that, sports is moving forward. I mean, even in the States, almost every sports team has a pride night.
Yeah.
John, you and I were talking about hockey, before the show. They all have pride nights, and everybody knows it's Pride Night.
Yeah.
And everybody loves it. They like getting that rainbow swag that everybody gets when they go to the game.
But we still do a story about some backlash when it comes to a Pride event, okay?
But it's not as much.
It's not as much, but there's always a player. I'm not going to wear that. I'm not going to wear that rainbow. No, I'm not a homo, so I'm not doing it. I mean, that
they're in the minority now, I think.
I want to talk, because we sort of piggyback on your comment a little bit, is that we're looking at it from only from a very limited perspective. We're looking at pro athletes, the pro soccer leagues over in Europe and the four major sports here. But I think one of the things that's leading to acceptance is our neighborhood softball leagues, our neighborhood kickball leagues. I think that, we have the Gay Sports Association here in Wilton Manors in South Florida, and that's great, and it's very important. But gays are just playing on average softball leagues in Topeka, and they're playing on average kickball leagues, outside in Henderson, Nevada, outside Las Vegas. And I think that's where we're really making our inroads, is because there's no locker room involved. It's a little easier to accept because you show up in your uniform.
You're there.
Maybe you're going to take your shirt off afterwards because it's drenched in sweat, please. But the idea is that when you've removed that barrier, that space, I think it's helping lead the way. And so if we look at it on the micro level in our neighborhoods, I think that's where we're going to be continue to make a lot of progress.
So two things. One, the laces coming in, like the men loving men, and then the arrow. Does somebody want to explain again what that is?
Aromantic. It means they're not looking for romance.
So we need laces for that on
No, honey,
football?
we don't need but it's not. These laces are not to play in football teams. This is just laces to
No, I get it.
represent.
I just my point is that I'm the kind of gay that wants to take all these labels, put them in a trash can, and light them on fire.
Right.
But that's my first point. My second point is that I have befriended a group of early 20s, 20-something for the past 2 years or so. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I'm telling all these straight guys that, like, you guys are so gay. Like,
It's true.
They don't have any stigma towards gay people.
Right.
Like, it's cool for them to embrace a gay person, be like, I'm not like one of those toxic dudes. Like, I'm cool, I'm hip, like, I'm accepting. Like, that's
Like,
the
we can
cool-
make out right now. It don't matter.
Okay, you're not lying.
No, I know
So,
that. I
like,
know.
sometimes-
Hi, Ariel. My friend Ariel Rivera. That's him. He's constantly making out with gay boys. He's a hot straight man, and it's like he's like, what? Just to
outed
show
him.
you. Oh, he does it. He outs it in his own TikTok. But he does
Exactly.
that. Where he's like, I don't give a crap. Like,
Yeah, and they're doing like even like gay sex things, just like okay, well, I'll just touch the penis. Like, you know what? That's not gay. And and so I do sometimes question, but I really do think that there is just a shift in young people. It's the people that
They're
are
more fluid.
over 30 and over,
fluid.
the young people, the Taylor Swift and Beyonce fans that are like creating their own economies. Like, this is such a non-issue in 20 years in our government and everything. It's going to be such a non-issue.
And
hope
when
so.
Katy Perry came out with I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It, every high school girl was kissing their friend to see if they liked it. Even my
lot of them
niece,
did.
who is
A lot of them.
as straight as can be, she's kissed girls, but she's definitely
I
straight.
kissed a girl to see if I liked it.
Did you?
No.
No, some of it was good.
Some of it was like
My eyes were closed.
he was thinking about Brad Pitt, but it was great. All right, next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Pride Skate to celebrate the holidays December 7th at Xtreme Action Park. Stonewall Pride Skate Night is the perfect way to celebrate this holiday season with your friends and family while benefiting the Wilton Manor Stonewall Parade and Festival. Pride Parade and Festival. Pride Skate Nights occur on the first Thursday of the month from 7 to 10 p.m. with a new theme along with a live DJ, guest appearances, drag queen performances, and a whole lot more. This special holiday Pride Skate will take place on December 7th with music and video by DJ T Pro mix. And special guest performances by the divas themselves, Velvet Lenore and Riri, Rihanna Patron. The general admission ticket starts at $15, of which $5 will go directly to Wilton Manors Entertainment Group, WeMeg, the creators of Stonewall, Pride Parade, and Street Festival. You can also upgrade your ticket to VIP for just $25 per person, including entrance to the party, skate rental, 2 beer or wine drink tickets, and a $5 donation. Xtreme Action Park partners with Wilton Manors Entertainment Group, the City of Wilton Manors, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce to create this fun and entertaining evening for the community each month. Don't miss this fun family event. Look, I love Pride Skate. I love to skate. I don't know what it is about gays on roller skates, but I love all of it, okay? Just love all of it. It's always an incredible time at Xtreme Action Park. They do it the first Thursday of every month. It's so much fun to just see all these gay boys just like skating and hand and all of that. I mean, you would be surprised at your friends. Your friends can skate. You have no idea. And these are the quad skates, you know? So it's a lot of fun.
I'm the one falling flat on its face every fucking time.
But it's fun, Ty.
No, it is a lot of fun.
And then a cutie will pick you up.
I enjoy it. Yeah. Well, sometimes. But Velvet and Rihanna, absolutely phenomenal entertainers.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of fun to skate around.
So you can just go to watch people skate, which is probably what I would do, because if I fell, I'm afraid I'll break a hip.
You'll just go to laugh at him falling on his face.
Right, I can do that.
and I saw the flyer. We had a picture of DJ T Pro mix, and he looks like he wants to hurt me, and I am 100% here for it. Hi,
You're
buddy.
there for it, right?
Hi, buddy.
Oh my God! Wow. Hi. Right?
Know, right?
Like, hey, play me some Tay-Tay. Right? Like, I definitely want to go. I think it's going to be a fantastic time. Thank you to
always a lot of fun.
WeMeg and Scott and the whole entire crew for putting this together. This is what we love to do. Family-friendly fun. But there's booze involved. Don't worry, kids. Okay? So
maybe that's why I keep falling on my face.
we will see you there for sure.
Yes.
Folks, looking for a special meal with that special someone this holiday season? Greater Fort Lauderdale offers hundreds of amazing and unique dining options. Watch the yachts go by at the 15th Street Fisheries. Experience the mermaids and mermen at the Rec Bar at the Bee Ocean Resort. Or catch some of South Florida's top drag queens at Lips. No matter what kind of dining experience you're looking for, Visit Lauderdale has options for everyone under the sun.
Partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting that partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share the news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ plus news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, and my forehead?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Fay What? And on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including TriniDaddy, John Hayden, Dr. Tai Houser, and Cindy Brown. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ plus world, we wish you good night.
Everyone.